Now, we've got some breaking news now, so here's what's happening. The Justice Department issued a court filing on Tuesday night claiming that the U.S. government documents were, quote, likely concealed and removed from a storage room at Mar-a-Lago as part of an effort to obstruct the FBI's investigation. That comes as the FBI has recovered over 320 classified documents from Mar-a-Lago, which, I should add, is only slightly more than the 3 emails on Hillary Clinton's server that are classified as secret. And yet, Republicans collectively signal that that was the greatest national security threat in the history of the United States. As part of the filing, the DOJ included a photo from Mar-a-Lago with a number of classified documents on the floor, including those labeled HCS, Top Secret SI, and Top Secret SAP, which suggest that they contain classified information collected by intercepted communications or spies, or information that only those with the appropriate clearances are able to see. Much of this information is only allowed to be viewed in certain rooms, and so the idea that it would be taken out of the White House and stored in somebody's beach resort would land anyone else in the entire country in prison without a second's delay. It's also the kind of information that, if revealed, would compromise not only the information gathered, but the sources and means for gathering it in the future. It's the same ballpark as, for example, what the president would do in the event of a nuclear attack by the Russians, during which he'd have about 20 minutes to respond, which is probably something that the Kremlin would want to see, and it probably is something that the Kremlin would figure out a way to see given the lax security at Trump's properties. For example, consider that a Russian-speaking woman posing as a member of the Rothschild banking family was able to not only infiltrate Mar-a-Lago, but snap a photo with these 2 idiots in a display of the prowess of Mar-a-Lago's security. It took some young woman all of 1 day to figure out how to get into Mar-a-Lago, where these classified documents are being stored. So yeah, maybe not the best idea to leave our nation's most closely guarded secrets in the house of the guy who's best known for having affairs with anyone with a pulse. Now, not only had Trump's team engaged in obstructive conduct by hiding these documents at Trump's resort, but Trump's lawyer, Christina Bobb, signed a statement attesting that all of the sensitive material Trump had taken from the White House had been returned. First of all, clearly that was not the case, considering, Exhibit A. But second of all, guess who else now has legal exposure for signing her name on a document on Trump's behalf that ultimately turned out to be a lie? And for those keeping track at home, you can add Bob to the likes of Giuliani, Eastman, Linwood, Sidney Powell, Jeffrey Clark, Jenna Ellis, and Michael Cohen, all of whom had either had their law licenses pulled or are under investigation themselves for their work on Trump's behalf. So if you're wondering why Trump isn't exactly pulling the best people in the legal world, it's because they probably want to stay out of prison themselves. Now, Trump has been attempting to get a special master appointed to review the documents seized by the FBI. Why? Because he's trying to sell this idea that the FBI is corrupt, maybe because he's trying to slow walk the entire thing with procedural maneuvers, maybe because it'll give him more time to sow distrust, maybe because he legitimately thinks some ally of his will find an outcome more favorable. But either way, the DOJ obviously anticipated this, and they'd already begun using an internal filter team to review all of the seized items and to separate materials that can be subjected to privilege claims or that are private themselves. For example, Trump whined that his passports were also seized, which certainly sounds like something that would rile up his base, except when you consider that his passports were commingled with a bunch of stolen classified documents that they seized. It's like a bank robber complaining that when the cops took the bags of cash that he stole, they also seized his driver's license that fell into one of the bags. Yeah, not exactly the slam dunk that Trump is making it out to be. Now, not to be outdone, Trump decided what I should do is post publicly on Truth Social and defend myself. And well, he definitely posted publicly on Truth Social, although I'm not sure how far he got in terms of defending himself. He wrote, quote, "There seems to be confusion as to the picture where documents were sloppily thrown on the floor and then released photographically for the world to see, as if that's what the FBI found when they broke into my home. Wrong. They took them out of cartons and spread them around on the carpet, making it look like a big find for them. They dropped them, not me. Very deceiving. And remember, we could have no representative, including lawyers, present during the raid. They were told to wait outside." In other words, Trump's defense here is that these stolen classified documents were actually neatly tucked away in cartons, as if that was the issue. As if the issue is that they were strewn about, and not the fact that, he was in possession of stolen classified documents in violation of federal law. And to make matters worse, he admitted it. No more pretending that the documents were planted by the FBI, no more pretending that he declassified everything. Now we've got public, definitive proof that Trump broke the law and took these documents into his house because this idiot thought that the way in which they were photographed was the damning part, as opposed to the fact that they were there in the first place. I did mention that he's an idiot, right? I mean, seriously, that's like a drug dealer going online after a huge raid where the cops release a photo like this and saying, quote, There seems to be confusion as to the picture where drugs were sloppily thrown onto the floor and then released photographically for the world to see, as if that's what the FBI found when they broke into my home. Wrong. They took them out of cartons and spread them around the carpet, making it look like a big find for them. They dropped them, not me. Very deceiving. And remember, we could have no representative, including lawyers, present during the raid. They were told to wait outside. I literally just switched out the word documents for the word drugs and left everything else the same. What do you think everyone would say to that drug dealer? Because that's exactly how ridiculous Donald Trump sounds. And by the way, the judge won't even need to look at Trump's Truth Social account for an admission of guilt, although I'm sure they will regardless. And here's the buried lead here. The actual court filing itself from Trump's team includes an admission right there on the first page. It says, quote, "The DOJ has filed an extraordinary document with this court suggesting that the DOJ and the DOJ alone should be entrusted with the responsibility of evaluating its unjustified pursuit of criminalizing a former president's possession of personal and presidential records in a secure setting." Yeah, how dare the DOJ try to criminalize Trump's possession of presidential records, which is quite literally a crime. That's like castigating the DOJ for criminalizing a former fireman for committing arson. It's a crime, and you literally wrote it down and gave it to a judge as if that's some kind of a defense. Again, if you're wondering what kind of lawyers Trump is able to find, it's the kind who unwittingly admit his crimes to a judge in the document intended to defend him. So look, we'll continue to watch as Trump's team tries and fails to defend the indefensible. We'll continue to see more incriminating evidence, and we'll continue to see the former president flail in his desperation to evade accountability like he always has. But it should be clear by now that he's got no leg to stand on, which, by the way, he himself should applaud. After all, it was Donald Trump himself who said this.
"In my administration, I'm going to enforce all laws concerning the protection of classified information. No one will be above the law."
Before you go, couple things. First, if you want to support my work, the best way is to subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. And second, if you want to see and hear more from me, check out my website, briantylercohen.com. That way you can get links to my podcast, merchandise, ways to donate to voting rights organizations, and so much more. The thumbnail is also right here on the screen, so go check it out. And as always, thank you so much for watching.